The board met tonight in executive session. We're now ready to continue with the public portion of our meeting. We did not have public correspondence this week, or this 2 weeks. We will dispense with the president's report because we have a good deal of business to do tonight, and we will go right to the superintendent's report.
Quick update on construction. We are getting very close to finishing several of the projects. At Central School, the first floor was redone just because we weren't happy with the original install. About 85% of the punch list items are completed. Next Thursday, we're doing a walkthrough with our architect and contractor and hopefully finalize the project. There's still some minor work that needs to be done, and that's part of the punch list items. At Ridgewood, they are finishing up connecting the chilled water piping into the classrooms. And as the next couple of weeks, we'll be working on installing some of the smaller instructional spaces, finishing up the boiler room, which has a part of the chiller component in it, insulating the chilled water pipes, and we're hoping by the end of March they will be finished. Forest Avenue and Linden Avenue School are about 95% done with their punch list items. Really the big item out there is just getting the new power source, and that's working with PSE&G. They've been by a couple times, but they have not finished installing the new power source. Once that happens, they'll connect up the wires, which we already have to the pole for them. And once the power source is ran, we'll be able to do some checks on the systems, and we'll be ready to complete that. They're expecting by the middle of this month to be done. I just want to give you a little mention of the coronavirus. We are staying on top of that. That means in contact with the Department of Education, our local Board of Health, obviously keeping updated with the CDC recommendations. What I'm seeing a lot of, and almost in every piece of information out there, is really just following our general health practices of washing our hands, of coughing in our sleep, if the child's sick, is to stay at home, avoid sick people. Those general practices that should be happening, that we continue them and enforce them with our staff and students. I continue to meet with various groups within the district. Last week we met with the custodians, just talking about just the procedures and making sure that they're disinfecting the common used areas like handrails, doorknobs, computer keyboards, making sure that we're keeping everything clean, as disinfected as possible. Today after school, met with the nurses, and on Wednesday we'll be meeting with the administrators to talk about how we can continue to put procedures in place to prevent, and some what-if scenarios on how we're going to handle those if it does come to that. We want to make sure we're prepared. I've had a couple of discussions with the Bloomfield Board of Health, which is our local Board of Health. And on Friday at our superintendent roundtable, the county Board of Health was there presenting to the superintendents and answering questions. And it's probably one of the longest meetings we've had as a superintendent group. So they were very informative and very welcoming, and offered their assistance in any way possible. So we're going to continue to move forward and making sure that we're prepared and making sure we're doing what's necessary to prevent any spread within our students. Two events I just want to notify you about. Over the weekend, Julia Kolinsky, who's a senior, placed first place in the regional Shakespeare recitation competition, which qualifies her for nationals, which will be in April in New York City. So it's a great event. We probably started about 10 years ago with John Mucello, and in the year 2 we had a student qualify and place at nationals. So it's great that we're continuing with that program, and our students are still thriving in it. And on Wednesday, the junior class is going to be fortunate enough to have Mary Beth Tinker address them. And anyone familiar with education law knows that Mary Beth Tinker, she is the individual involved in the Tinker versus Boise Independent School, which was a huge freedom of speech case back in the late 60s. So it'll be an interesting perspective to have her come and speak to our students.
That's it. Budget
Besides,
presentation.
Barbara Murphy's going to present the preliminary budget.
For 2020-21 preliminary budget. Over there. Oh, there we go. Okay, the budget process. So our finance committee meets throughout the school year. We have meetings with district administrators throughout the school year to review academics, personnel, supply, and facilities needs. The preliminary budget is on tonight's agenda for approval. Once approved, it will be submitted to the county for approval. The finance committee will continue to meet on the budget. The public hearing on the budget will be on April 27th, and the budget will be on the agenda for approval. Once approved, the final budget is submitted to the county. 2021 year-over-year budget increases. This budget includes $86,245 for a new first grade teacher to reduce class size. It includes $98,617 for salary and benefits for a full-time nurse at Central School. It includes funding of $112,245 for a new teacher's salary and benefits and a paraprofessional for a self-contained class at Ridgewood Avenue School. The budget also includes funding of $88,245 for a new Orton Gillingham teacher and $13,825 to increase in elementary counselors' hours. It also includes $675,000 in capital improvements for a partial roof and rooftop units replacement at Ridgewood Avenue School. Year-over-year budget decreases. The budget has a decrease in spending in out-of-district placements and special education busing of negative $457,546 and staff salary cuts of $89,722. General fund revenues. The 2021 proposed budget is supported by $1,588,281 in fund balance and a capital reserve withdrawal of $450,845. It includes a total tax levy of $31,352,804, which is an increase of $961,059 over the prior year, or a 3.16% increase. Other revenue sources are tuition income of $480,412, $8,000 in rent, $173,500 in miscellaneous revenues, such as activities, fees, and interest income, and $1,434,732 in state aid. Our expenses are made up of $15,975,643 in instructional expenses, support services of $18,726,159, and capital expenditures of $795,772. Our proposed general fund total increase over the 1920 original budget is 3.38%. Our revenue history. When we look at our history of state aid, we see that in 2010-11, the state took away all our state aid, which was $1.2 million a year. We've been gradually getting a little more state aid each year. This year, we welcome another increase in state aid. $203,994 more than the total received in 1920. Our tax levy increases have been relatively stable between 2% and 3.26% over the last 10 years. For 2021, we are proposing a 3.16% tax levy increase. The tax impact of the general tax levy on the average house assessed at $665,784 is projected to increase by $359.40 for the year, or $29.95 per month. That's it.
Thank you, Barbara. Okay, as is our custom, we'll start out with the board questions on the preliminary budget, and then we'll go to questions from the audience on agenda items only. Presumably they will be on the budget, although if you have questions on other agenda items, including those covered in the superintendent's report, we'll take questions on those now at the top of the meeting as well. So board members, do you have any questions on preliminary budget?
I'm just wondering what's the reason for the decrease in tuition revenues? Does it look like a big increase?
Yes, so we've had quite a few people move out of district. Some of them were brought back to public schools.
Some graduated.
And some graduated.
Heather?
So we need your admin staff, but we're also community staff, what kind of staff?
I don't want to get into particular positions because we're still talking about that. We're looking for staff that's of least impact on instruction, looking at the number of students and where we may have some flexibility to do that. But it's, we're not, based on that number, we're not looking at any full-time staff members, part-time.
Okay. And so we can ask about that next time?
That would, yes.
Yeah, the preliminary budget is
It's not that free.
What?
It's not free.
No, that would be.
other questions from the board. Oh, sure.
I just want to also explain, we do have a 2% tax levy and we're at 3.16. I want to make sure that's clear. The state allows school districts to choose if they will, can go to 2% based on two conditions. One, if you have a large amount of increase on your health benefits, or if you have an enrollment increase, and there's a formula that the state uses to determine what those numbers are. The districts, if they have one or both of those situations, they can choose to increase the tax levy, or they can choose not to do it and just delay. They have 3 years, what's called bank cap, in order to use those funds or choose not to use it. Based on construction of this budget, we have recommended to use that bank cap to fill in those new positions. That is the end of our bank cap at this point. We won't have any left over, and based on enrollment numbers, wouldn't qualify for us any bank cap for next currently, and we know the state this year is not offering, based on their health benefit numbers, any bank cap based on health costs.
And if I can clarify, bank cap is not money in the bank. It is permission to raise the tax levy above 2%. So it's not a pile of money you have sitting in the sofa. It's permission to raise the tax levy. Other questions from the board? Okay, we will take questions from the public now. For those of you not familiar with our protocols, we have a 2-minute time limit on questions. You can ask 2 minutes in this question period, and then 2 minutes, if you want, in the second question period at the end of the meeting. Please come up to the podium, sign in, tell us your name, and affirm that you are a Glenbridge resident. And then you have 2 minutes. And Anthony, would you be my timer? Okay, questions? Yes.
I'm Eric Goldman. I'm a Glen Ridge resident. I think I'm just repeating the question that you asked, but I couldn't quite hear it. That $450,000 drop in out-of-district tuition and transportation, that was the answer that some children graduated and some children came back to district?
Or moved out of district. It's a combination of the three.
Okay.
So more than one instance, more than one case.
Okay, and how many students were involved in the drop?
Off the top of my head.
We can get back to you on that.
And then I just have a question on numbers. I'm looking at a budget increase in the amount of $353,225 for the purpose of adding a self-contained class, an Orton Gillingham teacher, and a first grade teacher. When we were going through the numbers, it looked like those numbers added up would be less than $300,000.
So besides the staffing, there's supplies and other supports for those classes.
Right. But that wasn't reflected in the numbers that you put on the screen? I mean, it was, the cost for the classroom was $112.
So I don't put, right, that's just for the staff. 112 is just for the staff.
So then it's $60,000 in supplies.
I would have to get back to you on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions or comments? And I should add that if you have multiple questions, and this is my fault, if you have multiple questions, please try to give them to us all at once so that we can answer them in the order that they are given. Other questions or comments? Yes.
Granasawa, Glen Ridge. New first grade teacher, great if we need that. But at the time we were doing the referendum, I mean, I'm sure we do, if it's so funny as Yaros Ramos. But at the time we were doing the referendum, you assured us that you already had budget built in for the new teachers that would be needed. So was this or was this not built in? Number one. Number two, what have you done, Ms. Murphy, to prevent the loss of records or documents? It was noted in our audit last year where you couldn't compare your income and your expenses on certain programs within the school. What have you done to improve that process, and also the issue with late deposits that comes up every year? Last but not least, the roof and rooftop units, the 600 and some odd, was that part of the referendum, or is that something new and unexpected? Not sure what you mean by where that came from.
Is that all? Okay, thank you. So let's start back with the new teachers and whether or not the budget for those new teachers was built into the referendum. Do we want to address that now?
Sure. The first grade, that grade level was never part of the plan for Central School. But we did have staffing available at the time at a few different grade levels that we knew would be leaving Forest and at Ridgewood. But unfortunately, due to other past budgets and unexpected increases and health benefits over 2 years, that was $1 million, and special education had a large increase in those positions we had cut. So the last couple of years, we've had to remove positions because of budget constraints.
But staff positions are not built into the referendum, correct?
No, you cannot build
Build staff into
personnel
that.
into it, but we had a plan that we were looking at staffing Central, that we had positions in place at that time.
So that
That
we
could
can
be-
run up the staff.
Right.
Okay. All right. Loss of records or documents vis-a-vis the findings of our most recent audit.
Yes, so the auditors were able to audit by comparing the student rosters to the revenues received. They were able to audit. There were some documents that were not handed over, but they were enough documents so that they were able to audit the books. And they were able to compare income and expenses. And we are now on My School bucks, and everything is automated. As far as the deposits, the late deposits every year, we have reminded staff that we have deposit pickups every Tuesday and Thursday at the schools.
Okay. And Paul, would you handle the roof and rooftop units and whether or not they were part of the referendum?
Right, so as several of you, many of you may recall, the air conditioning in Ridgewood Avenue School auditorium was provided through the big possible donations of parents in the community. At the time, I think that improvement dates back to about 2006. Those units are now about 14 years old. They're approaching the end of their service life, which is to be expected to be about 15 to 20 years. We were aware of that when we went into the referendum. We didn't know whether we would have sufficient funding to pay for the replacement of the units, whether it makes sense in another part of conventional capital reserve or expenditures. And we elected at the time that bid was selected not to replace those units. We subsequently had some leaks in the auditorium observed. We thought that this year, given the available capital funds that we have, it would be prudent to do both simultaneously, to replace the roofing of the auditorium as a consequence of leaks, and it also affords us the opportunity to address some of the structural improvements that may be required to install new units.
Okay, thank you. Other questions or comments from the audience? Yes.
I'm Jocelyn Gottlieb. I'm also a Glen Ridge resident. I'm going to be asking you to fill in for my ignorance on a few points, so I apologize if these are questions that everybody knows the answers to. The first question is the staff salaries were listed at around 15 million and then support services at 18 million, and I just wondered what categories are included in support services, if that's admin, related arts, related services, and so forth. Another question was whether the year-to-year budget comparisons, and this is, I guess, going back to the referendum, if the amounts include sort of the capital improvement section are a separate set aside, so that as our expenditures decline following the opening and renovations of Central, will we see more money to play with in future years? And then I guess my third question is, can you give any additional information about the self-contained classroom at RAS in terms of students served, what is the need, what is the underlying thinking?
Going back to staff and support services?
Sure. The support services would include administration, it would include all of the benefits, health benefits, pension benefits, and it also includes all of our buildings and grounds, our maintenance, and all our custodial staff.
The next question. Sure, if you would.
So the second question, as I understood it, was whether these new improvements would provide a financial benefit to the district, the expenditures that were made through the referendum. And yes, we would certainly expect our heating costs to be less. We would expect some of our maintenance costs to be less because this equipment is new, it's under warranty for a period of time. So I think we'll see some immediate benefits attributable to that. We also need to be mindful that we just introduced air conditioning. We didn't have it before. So there'll be corresponding increases in utility costs associated with air conditioning.
Okay. Other questions or comments? I'm sorry.
I'll ask questions about Ridgewood Avenue School. A couple years ago, we started a primary one at Linden Avenue School for students who had various needs for that class. Some of the students are moving up to Ridgewood Avenue, so we're creating a similar classroom for those students as they move up. possible in district in their least restrictive environment. Eventually, we'll be able to serve the students moving up, but if there's students who might have been out of district or who might come into district that need, they'll also be placed in the classroom.
Other questions or comments from the audience? This is the time, since this is the 2nd of March, this is the time of the meeting, first day of the month, when we normally do committee and liaison reports. However, most of our committees have not met yet, so is there a consensus on the board to defer this until the next meeting?
The only thing is I'd like to bring up that the first meeting is going to be March 18th, and that Mr. Holmes and Lindsay.
Okay, thank you. So that's March 18th. Anyone else with committee and liaison information that is time sensitive? No? All right. We will proceed with our agenda now. You have in your packets minutes from the meetings of January 27, 2020, February 10th, 2020, both executive session and regular session meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes to those minutes? No? And those of our colleagues who are not here have not given me any changes. So with that, Paul, would you move the minutes?
Yeah, I'd like to move item M1.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Teresa. Any further comment on those minutes? No? Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Ms. Boyalucci? Mr. Romano? Ms. St. Albert?
I to January 27th and abstain for February 10th.
Dr. Yaroslav?
Aye.
Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye. Now, going on to the administrative items, as you can see, A2, I direct your attention to A2, the memorandum of agreement and collective bargaining agreement between the Glen Ridge Board of Education and the Glen Ridge Education Association. As you know, for some time, we and the GREA, which represents all non-administrative personnel in the district, have been engaged in negotiations that culminated in a session with the mediator. The outcome of that session was not to enter an agreement on all terms. Probably the relevant information right now is that the salary increase, the contract runs, and this is retroactive from July 1st, 2019 to June 30th, 2022. So it's a 3-year contract. In each of the 3 years, the salary increase was 3.25%. In the budget preliminary budget you just saw, the cost of that settlement was factored into the budget already. So the cost information that you saw includes the salary assumption for year 1. And as with most collective bargaining agreements that are arrived at after the expiration date of the preceding contract, when the contract is ratified by both parties, it has been ratified by the GREA, it is hopefully will be approved tonight by the Board of Ed. Our employees will then be issued checks for the retroactive pay and back to July 1st. With that, Tracy, may I have a motion to move the administrative items?
Yes, I move A1 through A3.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Teresa. Any further comment on the contract? Oh, your finance chair, any?
No, I'm just particularly pleased that the whole resolution was.
Absolutely, and I would say that we negotiated purposefully over perhaps a longer period of time than either side would like, but we did agree come to an amicable solution. So with that, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Ms. Boyalucci? Mr. Romano? Ms. St. Albert?
Aye.
Dr. Yaroslav? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye. Right. Personnel, Tracy, would you move the personnel items?
Yes, I move P1 through P9.
Right. Board members, are there any reasons why we should not move on these personnel items? All right, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Ms. Bonalucci? Mr. Romano? Ms. St. Aubert? Dr. Yaros-Ramos? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye. Heather, would you read the curriculum item?
Sure, I will see.
Okay, may I have a second? Second from Anthony. These are all field trips. Does anyone have any questions or comments on the curriculum items? All right, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Ms. Bonalucci? Mr. Romano? Ms. St. Aubert? Dr. Yaros-Ramos? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye. All right, we have come to the business items, following, including the tentative school budget, preliminary school budget, which we just saw. Following which you move business
I'd
items.
like to move items B1 to B6.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second from Tracy. Board members, any further comments or questions on the business items? No? All right, Barbara, would you call the roll?
Mr. Bonnet?
Aye.
Ms. Bonalucci? Mr. Romano?
Aye.
Ms. St. Aubert? Dr. Yaros-Ramos? Ms. Ginsburg?
Aye. Okay, we've now come to the second public comment period for questions or comments on agenda or other items. This procedure is the same. Are there questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Reglano.
Joe Mergelano, Glenridge resident. Two questions. Question, what is the status of the implementation of the structured learning experience? Second question, what is the update on the meeting with the county superintendent, between the superintendent and the county superintendent to resolve the impasse between the school district and the NJDOE? As you know, the school district wants guidelines, recommendations, and other requirements. The NJDOE does not. My concern is, will this hold up implementation of 1569? With regard to structured learning experiences, I provide them in their entirety in the packet, NJAC 6A 19 4.9 4.2. But the crash course in the next 30 seconds that I'm going to give you is on this front page here. Became effective in 2007 and it's mandatory. Saddlebrook currently implements it. They refer to it as option 4. 4.1 is the requirements. 4.2, requirements of supervision. They're mandatory at all high school students explore career interests through participation in structured learning experiences referred to as SLEs. Applies to students 16 to 18. Definition means experiential supervised in-depth learning experiences aligned to New Jersey learning standards that are designed to offer students the opportunity to more fully explore career interests within one or more of the career clusters. What are career clusters? They are provided by NJDOE, and I've listed them for you on page 4. There are 16 of them. This is different from the Essex County School of Technology for many reasons that I don't have time to explain, but the primary reason is that the district implements this. Please don't misunderstand. I'm not trying to blame or whine, nor do I intend to impugn. I did make some efforts. I met with an employee, my son, and another employee of the school district on March 19, 2019. I was told that an employee would work toward implementing SLEs, but that it required Board of Education approval. Thanks. Yes, I'll just end it here. And then I followed up with inquiries to the Board of Education in September and January. Although I did receive a response, I didn't get a substantive response. So I'm waiting for a second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want to take that?
Sure, not a problem. We are implementing a program next year that will use structured learning experiences. I know Mr. Lawler has introduced it. I'm not sure if it's in the program of studies if it made it or not. He did present to the curriculum committee and it was approved, and it's in place for next school year.
I'm sorry, what person was this?
Mr. Rubel.
Mr. Lawler.
Oh,
The
Mr.
high school
Lowell.
principal.
Okay.
Thank you.
And the second question?
And,
The meeting?
Yeah,
You met once and then...
correct. I had a phone conversation with the county superintendent. He was going to reach out to the state DOE about it on Friday at the county's roundtable, superintendent roundtable. He spoke about it. The state is only offering, going to create resources, not guidelines. So we are proceeding as we were originally proceeding. We have teachers who have attended workshops. We have some teachers who are going out on a conference, I believe in May. The Garden State Equity is presenting to our middle school and high school staff in March on our Professional Development Day. The Director of Curriculum has attended a meeting with the county Director of Curriculums, and there have been conversations there. And I continue to have discussions with some cohorts from similar school districts in the county on the topic. So we're working together. I know it's been a topic of discussion in department meetings, especially in social studies and language arts, where that seems to be more of a natural fit in those areas than, say, math class.
Do you know when next year the SLE will be?
Right
Oh,
now.
okay, I've asked my questions.
Thank
Got it. Thank you very much. Thanks.
you. And thank you for the handout. I'm sorry. Other questions or comments? See Mr. Goldman, and then Mrs. Hall.
Okay, I guess it's three questions. Looking at the resolutions, I see a line item for legal, $169,200. So I have a question about this figure. Is that just anticipated legal fees paid to district council, or does that reflect all litigation costs, including court reporters and court fees and insurance and payment of litigants' legal fees if they're successful? Second half of that question, if, as I suspect, this 169 is just fees to district council, how much has the district budgeted for those additional litigation costs? And then my third question is, what time, around when next year do you anticipate implementing those SLE classes that Joe was talking about?
All right, let's start with the 106, thank you. Let's start with the 169,000, Barbara, that's
Anticipated to be paid to attorneys. Does not include any payments that are made out of insurance. I'm not clear on what the other part of the question is.
if it's just fees, as you mentioned, it's what,
It's legal fees.
legal fees, associated
I think
costs.
if I understood the question, I believe that you were also inferring that settlement costs or the like, or court costs and things like represent an extraordinary expenditure, which they don't to us, because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, that such litigation expenses are insured by the district. We have
I don't think that was my question.
Mr. Goldman, please, I think, did we time out?
No.
No, okay.
So one, I certainly was not inferring anything in my question, so I'd like to push back on that a little bit. It really was a question about how much you're paying for insurance, how much you're paying for depositions, how much you're paying over and above the 169. I would just like to get a sense of how much the district pays in litigation costs per year. I have no idea if it's exorbitant, I'm just asking for information. Thank you.
Is that something to provide at this time?
It's just attorney's fees. Just pay attorney's fees, and if the insurance pays for it, it comes out of our insurance policy.
How much is the insurance policy?
We have, I can tell you that we have a $15,000 deductible for legal fees per case, if that's all. I don't know the exact cost of the policy, I'll have to look that up. I'll get back to you. It's not me speaking.
Okay, and implementation of distracted learning experiences?
It's scheduled to start at the beginning of the school year.
Okay. Mrs. Sama, I saw you, your hand still up? Okay. Yeah.
Mrs. Murphy, just so we don't play semantic games, we know you were audited, but you were noted as having an audit deficiency over the revenue and expenses, just to clarify. That's just a statement. My second point is this 3.38% increase in the tax. At the time of the referendums, you assured everybody you couldn't possibly ever go above 2.5 because there was a cap. I was the one who pointed out that you can bank it and that you can, for insurance costs and increased enrollment, you can up it. So you did mislead the people, even if I pointed out that you could go higher. You are going higher. I'm glad you're running out of bank. On the new teacher, the new first grade, I didn't understand a word you said, Mr. Phillips. What do you mean you didn't plan for a new first grade teacher? The central school, and that may not be where you're putting this teacher now, the central school involved pre-K, K, first grade, and second grade. So your answer didn't make any sense to me. Maybe you could explain it again. And last but not least, Mrs. Ginsburg, you always abstain yourself from payments for Sierra Cornell because you were previously on their payroll. How come you don't have a similar abstention for the Garden State Coalition, where you earn over $100,000 a year, and you only recently started abstaining? You voted on it all the years you were their full-time employee. So why isn't that on here as an abstention? Thank you.
Okay, the audit results, that was a comment, so I don't think it requires further explanation. The 3.38% increase, as you said, you do have a limited number of opportunities, legal opportunities to go above cap, which we can opt to use or not. You want to address the first grade teacher again?
When we planned Central, first grade, it was not planned to be open at Central next year. So there was no planning of a first grade section for next year. Kindergarten numbers this year have dictated that we add a section. It wasn't planned because we didn't have the enrollment at that time when we went through the bond referendum. The extra section is not at Central. Central next year will be pre-K and kindergarten.
And with regard to your allegations about my employment, about relationships with Sierra Cornell, I think those things have been addressed in the past. Those allegations are erroneous. They've been addressed. The questions have been asked and answered, and I don't think it bears further comment. Are there other questions or comments? Okay. If that is the case, may I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Anthony, may I have a second? Second from Teresa. Thank you all.